Donald Trump considers himself the ultimate New Yorker, even though everyone in New York despises him. Well, the ultimate New Yorker is being trolled by the most famous person from Chicago, Pope Leo. And for sure, things are heading for a collision course. Pope Leo made public statements and then sent out a tweet that implicitly but clearly calls out Trump. And Trump is going to have to be very careful how he responds. Now, true, Trump is a lame duck president, in addition to being lame, period. But that doesn't give him free rein to respond to the Pope any way he likes. For decades, the Republicans have split the Catholic vote, cultivating the anti abortion and right leaning Catholics and alienating the social justice Catholics, who, insist on caring for the poor and marginalized. I don't know why, it's just a thing they do. Leo's predecessor, Pope Francis, let his disdain for Trump and Trump's policies be known, especially when it comes to immigration. A child of immigrants to Argentina, Francis once said of Trump, a person who thinks only about building walls wherever they may be and not building bridges is not Christian. This is not the gospel. So if Trump was dreaming he'd get a pope who would be more lenient on kidnapping people and sending them to prisons in El Salvador, then he just had a bad dream. First, because immigration and the rights of immigrants are a core theological teaching of the Catholic Church. Second, Pope Leo is recently descended from immigrants. His paternal grandparents came from France, and his maternal lineage comes from Haiti. But in addition, Leo is himself an immigrant. As a missionary priest, he emigrated from the United States to Peru. So the issue of immigration and protecting the dignity and rights of immigrants are near and dear to Pope Leo's heart. But nothing could be further from the truth for Trump and his cosplaying, puppy slaying Secretary of DHS, Kristi No One Home up there. Trump and his DHS secretary enjoy the cruelty. Watch this clip of the DHS secretary being absolutely unwilling to lift a finger to help the family of a man wrongfully deported to El Salvador.
And I don't know the specifics of this individual case. This individual is in El Salvador, and the appeal would be best made to the president and to the government of El Salvador on this.
We've
This
made
is
that.
not under my jurisdiction, and I
Madam
don't
Secretary,
have.
you have said that CCOT in El Salvador is one of the tools in the toolbox that you have. You have said that and has been quoted as saying that. You and the president have the ability to check if Andrew is alive and if not being harmed. Would you commit at least into looking and asking El Salvador if he is alive?
This is a question that's best asked to the president and the government of El Salvador.
And I think you know very well that you could ask that question. What you are choosing to do, Madam Secretary, is disregard this young man's life, this young man's family, who was given an appointment by the United States. I think it is shameful that you won't even request to see if this young man is alive. His family has no idea, has no access to lawyers. I would hope that we would have the humanity to just check if this young man is okay. With that, I yield back. It's shameful.
The utter moral depravity that the secretary displays here, along with her smug confidence that she's going to get away with deflecting this issue, is a page right out of the Republican playbook. But the Pope just wiped that smugness right off her face. So you can call it a coincidence if you want, but one day after the secretary's testimony, the Pope had this to say to his first diplomatic audience. As the Daily Beast reports it, saying it was the responsibility of government leaders to work to build harmonious and peaceful societies, the pontiff warned the Vatican Diplomatic Corps no one is exempted from striving to ensure respect for the dignity of every person, especially the most frail and vulnerable, from the unborn to the elderly, from the sick to the unemployed, citizens and immigrants alike. This message has Trump written all over it. No one is exempted. That sums up Trump's entire personality and identity. He thinks he's exempted from everything he doesn't like or agree with. Trump views himself as exceptional. He's not, but he thinks he is, and so the rules don't apply to him. The Pope is telling him, these rules do apply to you, and you need a course correction so that you, Donald Trump, can actually start striving to ensure the dignity of everyone. Yeah, leave it to the Pope to believe in miracles. Now, sure, you can reasonably argue that the statement is not directed specifically at Trump, But you do have to accept that as far as the Pope is concerned, it applies to Trump personally. And to top it off, he ended with immigrants to emphasize their treatment these last months. Trump is not the only one being called out here. Note the phrasing, the unborn to the elderly, the sick to unemployed, citizens and immigrants. He's calling out the anti abortion right leaning Catholics for their inconsistency on being pro life. But to emphasize that he has his eye on the Trump administration, the Pope tweeted this: "Peace cannot be built apart from truth, which we Christians believe is not the affirmation of abstract principles, but an encounter with Christ. Truth enables us to confront the challenges of migration, the ethical use of artificial intelligence, and the protection of the earth." So, challenges of migration, which Trump is abusing, the ethical use of AI, which Trump is simply selling to the highest bidder, and protection of the earth, which, once again, Trump is selling to the highest bidder. Interesting that the Pope is emphasizing truth here, since Trump is a pathological liar who started a social media platform and called it Truth Social. The Pope's message here is very clear. Not only am I watching, I'm fully prepared, able, and willing to call you out. This was a warning. Well, Trump, good luck on calling the Pope a radical leftist, or your all-time favorite, a total loser, because I don't think you're quite ready for
the Chicago way.
I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.